A lot of people make video games for a living, but I make video games for a loss. How did we get here? These are the features that broke my game and changed the way I look at game development. Let's go back to where it all began. Okay, we don't need to go that far back. In the past month, I've developed an obsession to finish my game, Maze of Astro. This could possibly, most likely, potentially be the most anticipated auto battler of 2026. And you might be thinking, what differentiates my game from the hundreds of auto battlers out there? Well, my units can theoretically equip hundreds of items, which could ultimately break the game. But is that such a bad thing? Games designed to be broken are fun. You see, when a player bends the rules and achieves a game state the developers didn't intend, the player feels free, like they're the conductor of their experience, merely using the game as a tool for their own creativity. But none of this applies to my game since it's literally unbeatable. No, I'm serious, there's no ending. So let's get started. Each run starts with 2 units. I need to figure out how I can give the player more units along their run, while also letting them remain in control of how they build their team. I initially considered that the bench has 8 slots. If my player ultimately reaches the max unit count of 8, should all units be entitled to their own matrix? This would end in one of 2 ways. The player would appreciate the freedom to plan out their build for each unit, or feel absolutely overwhelmed by the build possibilities. An occasional useful thought does ping my cerebral cortex. This allowed me to find a good middle ground. I decided to let the player pick what they'd prefer. I added something called an exalt room. Twice per act, the user will come across an exalt room. This room lets the player pick between 3 run-long upgrades. The first option lets the player pick between one of 3 units. The second option adds an extra row to the matrix. The third option adds a ×2 tile on a random matrix slot. I strategically position these exalt rooms on floor 7 and 14 so that the player can feel the impact of each decision across multiple fights. This is where it gets exciting. The ×2 multiplier multiplies item stats as well as the item effect. Currently, the staff I introduced allows the player to summon a unit. The question is, when the staff is placed on a ×2 multiplier, what should double? The number of minions or the strength of each individual minion? This is where I came to the realization that I would have to declare each item's interaction with the ×2 tile. That's why game development is so exciting. The player makes decisions, but ultimately I decide whether the player has any fun. That's when I noticed something concerning. We need to assume the unlikeliest scenario, which is always best practice when making a game. Imagine the player is deep into their run, and by an act of God has 5 adjacent ×2 multipliers on their matrix. The overall multiplier for an item that occupies all of those slots is 32 times, which means I need to consider the ceiling of every item, because this could get out of hand very quickly. Before we take a look at how my game broke, let's make some small improvements. Testing these improvements took an eternity. I had to win fights and actually progress in my game to test features, which is why I made the executive decision to cheat. You might have noticed I added a debug menu which let me teleport to any room I wanted and win on command. This single feature I think sped up my debug process by at least 4 times. This wouldn't be an authentic Aria video if I didn't add at least one new enemy. Let me introduce my first ranged enemy. This guy floats and shoots extremely slow but powerful projectiles. I also gave him a quirky sound effect, because playing this game in silence for 6 hours made me feel like I was in an isolation chamber. I know what you're thinking. Stop, Aria, there's too many great features, I can't handle them all. I can't wait to wishlist this game once it's released. Well, buckle your seatbelts because there's more. Unlike most memorable games, mine was lacking an epic fight. All this power to fight ibuprofen and some of his mates. Let's add the first real challenge. I had an idea to add a cool snake mini-boss to my game. I wanted mini-bosses in my game to feel special, not just enemies with higher stats. The only issue was that I wasn't sure how to program the pathing logic. You see, I wanted my snake to constantly weave in between units and just kill based on his aura. This posed the biggest challenge so far. My current system is ancient. When my units move, they calculate their next best tile one step at a time. If my snake inherited this logic, he would be paused after every small movement. So I had 2 options. Make my snake use a completely independent movement logic, or revamp my movement logic entirely. I did what any sane person would do.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Okay, we have something more appropriate now. Instead of moving 1 tile at a time, this new movement logic can calculate multiple tiles ahead. This allows for smoother traveling amongst faster characters. If you have a pet snake at home, you might want to cover their eyes, because my snake is kinda a baddie. Okay, brace yourselves. I know what you're thinking. How does this magnificent beast move? This is the most lifelike snake in the game, and for me that was good enough. Okay, fine. I promise I tried everything I could to fix it, but it just kept getting worse and worse. Reality was warping and my tank even scored a penalty at one point. I tried to bargain with said reality and considered maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought, so I showed my friend to acquire some valuable market research. In order to truly study a snake's movement, I had to learn the science. The answer was much simpler than I had imagined. Where head goes, body must follow. This is as close as I got to for now. Visually far from perfect, but I envision once the segments are replaced, it'll be great. Wait, hold on a minute, what's happening? Is that the subscribe button? I would appreciate it if you could hit that real quick and help me defeat it, because it helps me greatly to make more videos like this one. Anyways, back to the video. Time is running out, and you might ask, but Aria, how could time be running out? Are you dying? Well, thankfully, due to the healthy lifestyle I've maintained, I've only lived 6% of my life. The real reason I've been putting everything into this project is this. On November 16th is Auto Battler RPG Fest. I thought this was a great opportunity to get the word around that there's a new Auto Battler in town. With that being said, if the game isn't ready by then, I just have to take the loss, because nothing is worse than releasing an unfinished game. I know this is going to be a difficult path to go down. After all, I'm one person trying to cover the role of an entire team, but I looked at the greats that have been able to accomplish this, and if they can do it, what's stopping me? You've all been really supportive of my journey, and I just want to say thank you. When I started this project, I didn't expect to receive such positive reception. I've been getting messages of features I've considered to implement and talented people offering to help me with the project. It's people like you who keep the wheels turning, not just on my channel but in society. So if you guys have any more ideas, I'd love to hear them in the comments. My game still doesn't have an ending, so technically I can take multiple Exalt Room upgrades. This scythe is only giving my unit 405 attack damage, but my system is designed to handle. I'm pretty shocked, as you can tell by my voice. This is honestly the first time my game has crashed and closed itself. I've always just received debug or error warnings. But quitting is for losers. And do I look like a loser? Actually, don't answer that question. The cause was simple. My snake was allergic to taking large amounts of damage. No, but seriously, the issue came from me rewiring how damage was applied when I updated the movement system. With that being said, our work here is not done, so let's pick things back up. I'm gonna spoil you guys today and add one more enemy. I've had an idea for a massive golem that spawns these rock hounds and throws massive boulders. He's untargetable while his dogs are alive. This added a cool unintended interaction. If my archer has enough attack speed, he develops a sixth sense. I'm feeling extra daring today, so I'm going to attempt something I've never done before, replacing the capsules with some 3D models and animations. As you're probably aware by now, I don't really have an artist. I considered picking up Blender again, but it would take me months to get to a stage where I'd have something usable. The closest thing I've done to animation is making stick figures do this when I was 9. Lucky for me, there's a website called Mixamo by Adobe, because they do be helping me out. It's a miracle this website's free because it has a huge catalog of high quality models as well as animations. I only wanted to dip my toes in the water, so let's do the archer for now. It was pretty simple. The only hard part was aligning the animations with the sounds and projectiles. Just to make it clear, this isn't necessarily the vision I had for my game. I'd made a board of inspiration I had early on, but right now the vision just isn't as clear as I'd like. After wiring up the animations, my archer is alive and well, but the projectiles are spawning from the wrong place, so I added a marker exactly where the bow is drawn, and it works perfectly. I can feel my brain thermally throttling, so I think it's time for a good night's rest. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you as always. I've been Aria. Good night.